The content in this podcast may not be suitable for all viewers. Viewer discretion is advised.
Hello. No.
Yes. Welcome to Strange and Mundane.
A podcast unveiling the strange and mundane, which I'm clearly very strange.
And I guess I'm mundane. Tonight's episode is brought to you by alcohol.
Clearly.
I'm drinking an old fashioned tonight.
I'm drinking a Cooper and Thief red blend, and they're awesome.
Yeah.
They're freaking awesome. This wine's so smooth.
Yeah, I don't know if this drink is strong enough for tonight. Anyway, as you can tell, we're definitely a little nervous today. It's definitely the first full recording that we were pulling off, and a little more nerve-wracking than a 2-minute long intro.
And so, just for a little background, I'm a psychology major.
And I'm a paramedic right now.
And also, so we just have a little bit of experience with humility and just having grace for life in general and growing with it. So one of my very favorite things at night after a super long day, because all I do is work, go to school, take care of kids, and then come home. So it's a long day. And all I want to do is rot and watch really crazy things on TikTok. And I tend to notice that I mix between so many different videos. Like I'll watch these gossip channels. Yeah. And those pique my interest a little bit. But I've also noticed that when I'm doing like schoolwork or even when I'm rotting, sometimes I just like to listen to like scary stories. Yeah. Like The Corpse Husband is one of my very favorites. Mr. Nightmare's a good one.
Yeah, Mr. Ballin.
Mr. Ballin's great. And those are just like, I don't know why that's so soothing to me before I go to sleep or while I'm doing homework. It just helps me multitask.
Of nature.
I know.
It's like everything's the opposite. I drink Red Bulls to go to sleep and
yeah, I wake up and take sleeping pills. Like, I don't know. So yeah, it's very much like I notice that I find myself kind of all over the place. Like sometimes I'll be watching videos of like killer crocodiles and I'll just be like in this space where I'm like, it's video after video of just like crocodiles for like 4 hours straight. Yeah. And sometimes, as you get so deep in it, you kind of come across weird theories, conspiracy theories.
I'll go from like cooking videos one thing to like conspiracy theories.
Yeah.
Like the next video. It's great.
It's like deep state. And then you're like, and then it's like Gordon Ramsay's eggs. And I'm like, okay, that's very interesting. So one of the interesting things that has been especially really popular lately has been the Mandela effect. Okay. Do you know what that is?
Yeah, from a bit what I know, it's just like stating that things were different or that like we're like in a separate dimension or universe based off of things changing, right? Sort
of. It's more of like a large group of people. The idea, I guess, it depends on who you ask, right? So the idea is that a large group of people remembers something that's actually false. So the fruit of the loom is like an example of that.
It's the cornucopia, right?
Right. But the company claims that there's never been a cornucopia. I remember there being a cornucopia.
I don't think I would have known what the word cornucopia was without fruit of the loom.
Exactly. Like, who knows what a cornucopia is without the cornucopia on the fruit of your basic white t-shirt? Mm-hmm. Like, the very white t-shirt we all wore half of high school with everything. Seriously. So it's become recently popular because a person found a like vintage t-shirt from Fruit of the Loom with the cornucopia on it. And they posted it. And it went all over Reddit. It was super viral. It's still viral. The company apparently is saying they've never had a cornucopia. And there's been a few examples of it. And I'll post one of them in our Instagram at Strange and Mundane. But that's just one example. Another example is like the peanut butter. I think it's the Jif. Do you remember it being Jif or Jiffy?
Wasn't it Jiffy?
Yes.
I remember it being Jiffy.
It was definitely Jiffy. But they're saying it was always Jif because now it's just Jif. And they're like, no, you're mistaking it for Jif and Skippy, and you're combining it because those were two different brands.
No, because I knew Skippy was there and I hated Skippy.
I hated Skippy.
But
and I
Jiffy-
knew that there was Jiffy, but they're claiming there wasn't. So there's this like timeline of just things that have happened. Just like another example is like the Monopoly Man
Okay.
and the monocle.
Like, did he have a monocle?
Did he? Do you remember him having a monocle or not? Because I remember him having a monocle. But they're claiming he did not have a monocle.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he did have a monocle.
I'm pretty sure, like, I would maybe bet my, like, pinky toe on it. Maybe.
I was trying to think of a few more because I've come across a few too. I think the one that like comes to my mind is like the Berenstain Bears.
Yes. What do you remember?
I thought it was Berenstain.
Oh.
Isn't it Berenstain? Like, isn't it?
I thought it was Berenstein.
So do you feel like this is more like things changing or people's fixed memory or something is different? Or do you feel like it's just like cover-ups or something?
So yeah, some of the conspiracy theories surrounding this are basically kind of what you mentioned. It's like government interference. I mean, why do you think they'd interfere?
I don't know. That's the hard part because I don't really see a reason for the actual change or like the fixing of that. Like, why would you fix that?
But how
is it like a test?
Are you really going to believe that a large mass group of people believe that there was absolutely a cornucopia on the Fruit of the Loom? And they're going to like, it almost feels like you're being gaslit. It's like
almost like a test of power to see if the company, like how much they can get away with. So
like some of the theories are like alterations in time, like time travelers, like people coming back. And I'm like, I don't know how much I believe.
Yeah. Like butterfly theory.
Yeah. I mean, maybe.
Like you step on a butterfly.
Government interference is interesting because I guess that ideology is that like they're trying to alter the perceptions of humans. But I'm like, for why?
I mean, it could be like a test. Just see, hey, I can do it.
Or like make the mass believe they're just super crazy.
Yeah.
That's crazy. And ironically, so apparently this was actually named after, do you know Nelson Mandela?
I've heard of Mandela effect before, but I literally have zero idea about the origin. So he apparently died in 2013, but a large group of people remember him dying in prison in the 1980s. Oh, so it's named, okay. So it's named after him, but isn't it ironic that he is the Mandela effect kind of, right? Because a large group of people are like, we swear he died in 1980s in prison. And they're like, no, he actually died in 2013. And it's like, huh? And I actually don't even know who he is. I didn't do that great of research on him. I do know that I did a post on Canva today and they had a quote by him. So I'm like, is he an artist? I don't know. Either way. You know the weird thing though about 2013? What? Is that's actually the year that the topic I had, where I have tonight, was created. What do you know about the Pixar movies? I'm going to be really honest. I think that there, for me, is a big confusion about what's Pixar and what's Disney. And I think that I've seen some conspiracy theories about like the timeline of Disney and how certain movies kind of intersect, or like how different, like you can find like different Mickeys, like little golden hidden Mickeys. So there are some Easter eggs in the Pixar movies that actually relate to this theory. The Pixar theory is actually, it's a theory created on the aspect of there is one timeline of all those movies. And so I don't know if it's like an effect of the writers, like there was one writer that wanted to make like an overarching story, or by chance it just worked out like this. But the story gets a little dark in times, and it's actually pretty fucking interesting. Really? Yeah. Like, some of the Pixar I'm a little bit movies? I'm a little bit of a nerd. Like I'll watch everything from anime to horror movies to. Well, same. I definitely like love some Sharknado. But yeah, you can't go wrong with Sharknado. You can't go wrong with Sharknado. But the Pixar movies are your Toy Story, your WALL-E, Brave, and a few of the others. I don't know why they're not coming to my head right now. I've seen all of them, like Monsters Inc. Monsters Inc. is a perfect
Monsters Inc. is Pixar?
Yes, that's Pixar, not Disney.
Oh, okay. So
it begins with the movie Brave. Do you have any idea what that movie is?
Yeah.
I know it's one of the more lesser known Pixar movies.
No, I do actually, I recollect a moment where Emery was kind of obsessed with the movie.
Okay.
And I think that because of that, I watched bits and pieces, but not all of it.
So the movie Brave goes on, and really, without getting too far into the explanation of the full movie, really discusses the discovery of magic in the universe and how the magic affects animals and perhaps things. So you have magic discovered in the universe, and that kind of spreads out to objects and things and animals, which explains why animals in the Pixar universe and stuff like that can talk. So we go to things also with Toy Story. It's where kind of a little bit of the dark side of this theory.
Toy Story is also... Oh.
Yeah, so you have Toy Story and Incredibles, which are kind of related to this. So they explain more of the darker side of this story. So with the Incredibles, you have the creation of this robot. And with this robot, it's this new form of energy was created that powers these robots, and they start to have distaste with humans. Just beginning with how treatment is starting to go, they're starting to get more intelligent. So we see that really in Toy Story. So in Toy Story, the toys are alive. They are beginning to go through things like rejection. Woody doesn't want to be the only toy or he doesn't want to be replaced by Buzz. So you're seeing actual emotions and things coming from these toys or these supposedly inanimate objects. So from toys, from Toy Story, you go through 1 and 2, and you kind of see the after effects in 3. But rolling back a little bit, after Toy Story 2, we jump into Finding Nemo. We have a lot of experience with Finding Nemo.
Yeah, they can just take all my money, man.
But one thing that you can take from Finding Nemo is the fact that animals, too, are getting disgust and disdain from humans. They're being taken from their families and all these things as pets and objects to look at and being removed from their own lives. And we're talking about in these senses, these are hyper intelligent creatures that can talk to each other, have highways and all these things developed. So going from Finding Nemo, we jump into Ratatouille. Now you're starting to see a little bit of the intelligence of these creatures improving to the point that they're controlling humans. You have a rat in Ratatouille that is controlling a human to cook, Gordon Ramsay level cook.
I've never watched that movie.
You've never watched Ratatouille?
No.
Well, pretty much the gist is if you've ever gone to Disneyland and you've seen the guy that looks like a waiter, mm-hmm. and he's wearing the tall chef's hat, and it keeps lifting up, and there's a rat on his head, pulling his hair, kind of controlling him.
Oh.
So we're starting to see that animals and what we can assume are going to be the inanimate objects, the toys, the machines, they're getting rather intelligent by this point. Jumping into the movie Up, and this is kind of a smaller detail, but you deal with a lot of kind of shared things, or what a lot of people consider Easter eggs throughout the movie. The big company that runs everything is By and Large. So it's the batteries that power Buzz Lightyear, or the main store. It's always By and Large. It's also the store that's used in WALL-E. So there's little things that are kind of peppered throughout all these movies that kind of connect everything. And you can view it as Easter eggs, or it actually kind of goes in line with the rest of this theory. So we go back to the movie Up, and you start seeing the evil guy in the movie starts training these dogs. And he trains these dogs, again, to be able to talk. They have these necklaces on that can allow them to talk, as well as training them to guard, to do jobs. fully things, but beyond that of what like a normal dog nowadays, like a working dog would do. So you have now hyper intelligent creatures that are being trained fully. They're taking over positions and stuff like that. And now you fast forward, like we would say it's probably a jump of like 100 years. And during this time, what we can assume is that there was some type of uprising between robots and creatures that basically led us to the movie Cars. So in Cars, you have the entire planet, like we're still on Earth because it's
right, but these cars are like talking to each other.
Yeah, but at some point, like it showed a part of the movie, it showed that we are dealing with Earth. And so the one thing that you can remember from Cars is that there's no humans.
Oh, well, actually, I never thought about that. But yeah, there's no humans.
So everything, it's like NASCAR and everything, and all these things are ran by these cars. You know, you have a car that's like a mayor. You have a cop car that's like an actual cop or sheriff. So what we can assume based off this theory is that in that jump in time, there was an uprising of some sort between like machines, and humanity has either been wiped out or they left. Which, if we fast forward a little bit, we're looking at the movie WALL-E. So we could assume that
I love that movie.
We could assume that they all left via the ship in WALL-E. You know, they like to blame it on the fact that in WALL-E, it's like the planet is trash. So we're probably jumping between Cars and WALL-E. Let's say it's probably more about 600 years between those two movies. And so now the Earth is like extremely polluted. It's unlivable. Now you have this robot trying to clean up the world. And a lot of the stuff, again, that you see in the movie is from the company By and Large. They're supposed to be the company that kind of produced all this trash. Just humans in general produced all this trash that ruined the world. They left. Whether it was they left because of that or because of a possible uprising machines, they're gone. It's just the robot, WALL-E, and he's trying to clean up, trying to make the Earth livable. So eventually, towards the end, we see that everybody's kind of overweight. They've been sitting in these chairs. They don't do anything. And life is kind of regrowing on Earth. Assuming that everybody moves back into the planet, they start life again. At some point, something went wrong and nobody survived. Now, we move to the movie Bug's Life. Again, I think there's only like maybe one time that a human is maybe mentioned in that movie, but you never see a human. Even though they're in like populated areas, they're in a park, there are all these things. You have bugs that are living extended lives. And they're smart, you know, they're making machines, they're making all this stuff. But these insects are like literally having wars with each other. You know, it's another hyper intelligent, almost species just surviving, but the humans are gone. So the thought is... Are you
almost explaining this like evolution?
Kind of. It's in a way, it's like an evolution, because speaking of evolution...
Because you went into cars, which is like technology
technology
most
took
advanced,
over.
right?
Mm-hmm.
It's like now we have Teslas that are self-driving, and it's like, okay,
how much longer until they actually like replace us?
Right. No, and so it makes you wonder, like, if this timeline of events in these movies, it's curious that it would go from Cars, where these cars are like talking and mingling and whatever else, and then you go to Bug's Life, where bugs are just chilling. And
yeah, but again, it's like in all those situations, you don't see any of like the previous technology. So we're
you are right. It's so weird. There's no humans in Bug's Life.
I remember it like in Ants, and a lot of the times, like I get mixed up with Ants.
Yes.
The movie Ants, but that's not Pixar at all.
What is that actually?
I honestly don't know. I don't remember.
I do get those two movies like very mixed up sometimes.
So after we jump from Bug's Life, we're going to jump about like 1,500 years. So if there are humans, at this point, they have mutated, or whatever insects have evolved and eventually became monsters. So again, in Monsters, Inc., you see humans, right? So at some point you do see, you see human. Boo. Yeah. Yes. Boo. Exactly. So we have these monsters that are living, and they've realized that their source of energy comes from humans. Initially, it's screams. Eventually, it become laughter. But now keep in mind Boo. What do you remember about Boo?
Honestly, just that our niece was Boo one year, and she was so cute.
She looked just like Boo, right?
She looked just like Boo. But I remember, okay, could I be remembering it wrong, but Boo was a little sassy.
Boo is the key to this entire theory. So you have a little girl that's brought in through a door, a wooden door. That's where they have discovered that they can go to humans. And the way we could look at it is, if they're finding humans, but we know that there's nowhere in the world that they're in that there are humans there, then we could assume that these doorways that they're going through are different dimensions.
Interesting.
So, and dimensions in this can work through time. Maybe they're going to the future, maybe they're going to the past. But if we look at Boo, so we can assume that when she grew up and she Sully left, Sully was no longer in her life, she missed Sully, the big blue monster.
Yeah.
And so rewind all the way back to the movie Brave. So there is a witch in the movie Brave, and she harnesses the magic. And something that you've noticed is that she travels through doors. And an Easter egg in Brave is that there's a carving that looks like Sully. So the witch from Brave is Boo, that traveled through a door, went back in time. And what we could assume is all the Easter eggs that are sprinkled throughout the movies was her trying to get back in time to find her way back to Sully. And so she leaves stuff behind, like the little ball that's in Toy Story. You see that movie in you see that ball in Finding Nemo. You see the Pizza Planet truck throughout multiple movies. And it's all just Boo leaving herself a trail of where she had been on her search for Sully.
Do we have pictures of these things?
There are pictures online, which we can post a few of the actual. So we'll find a few that corroborate this theory, including pictures of the witch. We'll post them all on Instagram.
Because that's very interesting.
So that's what's intriguing about the theory. Is it's not so much.
You're so much more attention to detail in movies than I am. You will be like, oh, the guy in the background's just standing there looking. And I was like, oh, I didn't even notice the guy was in the background.
I definitely pay way more attention to the little details. I'm the person that finds the movie mistakes.
Absolutely. You definitely did videography in high school, I guess. So. I'm just this movie's great. And you're like, Taylor, 365 days next or whatever that is not great. You're like, there's no storyline.
That was a movie. But
it was a movie somehow.
Yeah, it's the interesting whole thing about that theory is just the connection. It's it gives you almost goosebumps thinking of it, because I don't know, I'm too much of a nerd when it comes to good stories.
I'm the same.
Yeah, so the fact that you're looking there and you're like, oh, it starts with this movie that's about Scotland, in the 1400s, and ends with monsters in a different dimension.
I think what's hard for me to wrap my head around is the fact that isn't Brave a newer movie compared to the rest of the Disney franchise?
Yeah, it is. And
what
Monsters
year did that
Inc.
come out?
Monsters Inc. came out when we were kids.
What year did that come out?
So it came out in 2012. So that would make it 12 years ago at this point.
Which is so odd. If you remember...
We're getting old.
2012, right? 2012 was that year that everyone swore we were going to die. It was
the end of the Mayan calendar.
Was it. And so I was very much I don't know where you were at. How old were we at that point? Oh my gosh.
That was our senior year.
So yeah, I was definitely all deep into reptilian beings and and in all sort of conspiracy theories. So I bet I believe that at that point. But yeah.
The sad thing was that you and I worked at a movie theater Or actually, yeah, that was like the last year that we worked at the movie theater.
Yeah. And like a lot
We
of
didn't see these
interesting movies came out. Yeah. I never watched this movie. That's
I don't think I did. I think I had like too much disdain for like the cleaning up after the kid movies.
100%.
And so like I avoided them.
The smell
like
of popcorn and cheese.
Yeah, you always left smelling like popcorn. Kind of miss it at some point, but like when you work there,
Oh, I miss it's a different feeling than I'm feeling.
you definitely left feeling greasy. That was for sure.
For sure. Like I felt like I was buttered popcorn at the end of that shift.
But with when you like what you're saying though, like when you're looking at this theory, if it is true, then they've been planning this for like a really long time. It has been.
When did the first Pixar movie come out?
I think Nemo came out in like 2001.
Is that the first?
No, like the movies go like way back. Incredibles, Nemo, Cars, and all these. Like Toy Story was the 80s
Toy Story.
or 90s.
The first Pixar movie to be released was Toy Story with 1995.
95, a year after I was born.
2 years because I'm a cougar. So, but wow, 19. Okay, so that really kind of actually messes up my timeline because I could have swore Toy Story was like early 2000s.
Well, there were releases later. Toy Story 2 and 3 came out. And then 4
I guess
is
that's
the
true.
recent one.
I guess that's true. But I could have swore like even the first one didn't come out. Well, I don't know.
It's always been around.
When you're
that
young,
was during that
everything
time
kind
where I
of-
think I was mixing everything up with Disney, though. So that really goes over the gist of what the Pixar theory is. Just really that full connection of all the Pixar movies into one overall timeline.
That kind of makes me want to like rewatch them and kind of look for the little.
I definitely encourage
breadcrumbs.
everybody to go rewatch them. They're always great movies in the end.
That is true. I definitely should probably watch Ratatouille.
Let's go through it. Let's watch it. We'll prove the theory to you.
We have to watch them in order then, right?
Yeah, we'll watch them in the same order.
So
And we'll post that
do
order.
we know the order? We'll create a timeline.
Yeah, we'll throw
Post
it
it.
up on our socials. But if you want to continue following us on our socials, you can hit us up on Instagram
Strange
Follow
and
us.
mundane.
and follow us on TikTok. All of our socials are active. Go ahead, reach out if you have any kind of topic ideas for us in the future, or if there's any kind of things you want to hear about. Again, I'm Jake,
I'm Taylor.
and thanks for listening to our podcast.